pomeriggio a tutti gli italiani che ci stanno seguendo, and good afternoon to everybody here in this incredible audience after 3 days of very intense and passionate discussions. So let's start together this closing session, even trying to underline what have been the most important elements of these days. What we understood is that food systems transformation has to become a priority at country level, at global level, in every discussion. And what are the key elements out there? Let me just mention some of my notes: finance, trade, science, technology, and education. I heard the word education so many times, and I think it's a key issue out here. But first of all, let's introduce the last speakers. That will just be speakers that will guide us towards the next appointments that will come this month and this year on this issue. So let's start our closing session with the Commissioner for Rural Economy and Agriculture of the African Union Commission. And let me just welcome Leonel Correa-Sacco here on the stage. Please, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, every one of you. Your Excellency, Mrs. Amina Mohamed, the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, His Excellency's Head of State in attendance, Excellencies Ministers responsible for agriculture, environment, health, planning, and finance present here, Excellencies, the principals of the UN Rome-based food organization, the 3 UN-based food organizations, Excellencies, distinguished head of delegation and invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. And I also acknowledge the presence of my colleague, the Commissioner of EU for Agriculture. You're welcome. Let me begin by registering my sincere gratitude on behalf of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat, to the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for inviting me to this important leadership dialogue of the UNFSS+2 Stocktaking moment. I salute the leadership of the Republic of Italy for hosting us and effectively planning this event that is carefully planned. It has been nearly 2 years since the first ever UN Food Systems Summit took place in September 2021, launch bold new actions, and unleash the food system transformation agenda to catalyze achievement of the SDG 2. For us in the African Union, this agenda makes a lot of sense for 3 reasons. The first, we are a continent that is still suffering from structural and transitory forms of food insecurity. At the same time, rapid growth population, urbanization, consumers' price increases, among other challenges that we've been facing, like climate change, conflict in our continent, and security. All these are really issues that we need to challenge. We need to really take bold action in order to transform our food system on the continent. That is the motivation for our pursuit of a food system transformation agenda to attain food sovereignty, resilience of farming system, and the livelihood of our small-scale farmers. The quest to defeat the decades-long dependency of food import, it is a must because our continent has 60% of our uncultivated arable land. We have a youngest population, and we have aquatic resources. And yet, 38 countries on continent are really net importer of foods. And the bill that we pay annually, it's about from 45 to $50 billion annually just in food imports. This one could be an opportunity for us to really build better, create better jobs in this important sector, which is agriculture. Second, for decades, our food system have remained fragile and non-resilient to recent shocks, with the worst one being, we all know, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine crisis. This is why there is a compelling case for an holistic food system resilience approach. These 3 days we've been here, we've been talking about holistic approach. I think this is the time for us to really change the narrative and concentrate and give this sector a priority in our own programs. In our own programs. The third reason of this timely meeting that we are having is that we are soon at the African Union embarking on a consultative process for initiating and designing a post-Malabo program. This is our flagship program. This is our policy program to transform agriculture on the continent. This is the 10 years action program that was endorsed by our head of state and the government in 2014 in Malabo. So this our vision of having these two events close is very important for us in order for us to try to endorse the new 10 years action plan of our flagship program, which is Post-Malabo, to endorse it to our specialized technical committee on agriculture, rural development, water and environment, and eventually an African Union summit decision should be taken for the next 10 years that we are going to have to implement our flagship program. The recommendation of this UNFSS+2 Stocktaking movement provides an opportunity for for elaboration of a more focused post-Malabo program and action planning. I commit my office to fully lead and facilitate seamless and engaging consultation with African Union policy organ, the regional economic community, and OUDA NEPAD, who is our agency, implementing agency, OUDA NEPAD, to start working on this roadmap and so that we can approve it and have really a substantive report. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the holistic approach must ingrain and assure economic, social, and environmental sustainability. These three intervention domains must interact and move towards together in the same direction, otherwise, sustainable food system transformation and vis-à-vis SDG 2 by 2030 might remain elusive. I am pleased to note that this event has brought together different stakeholders across the sector. The onus is now on our side, on us, and we have to keep this spirit of working together towards a common coordination mechanism based on common roadmap and a common operation plan. I am pleased to inform this August meeting, that we have planned to launch a 3 years African Union operation plan for transformation of our African food system 2024-2026 within the next 3 months. Yesterday, I gave a few remarks at a special event on the financing food system transformation agenda. It is my hope that the Ministers of Finance and the Parliamentary Committee on Food and Agriculture, we work with our financial institution to develop and submit an African agri-food system financing mechanism for endorsement by 2024 during the African Union Summit. A common challenge requires a common solution and a common action. I thank you for your kind attention. Asante sana, muitas gracias, muito obrigada. Gazimili, shukran.
Thank you. Thank you to Josefa Sacco, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you also for reminding us this incredible contradiction that a continent so rich of resources is still importing most of its food. So that's a place where we got to start working on. And from Africa, let's move to Europe, to the EU Commissioner of Agriculture, Janusz Wojciechowski, that I invite here to join us on stage. Commissioner.
Your Excellency, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Ms. Samika Amina Mohammed, Your Excellencies, leaders of the United Nations Rome-based agencies, my fellow Commissioner from African Union, Josefa Sacco, Ministers, Ambassadors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank and congratulate Italy for co-hosting with the United Nations these fruitful exchanges over the 3 days to take stock of the implementation of food system transformation initiated by United Nations Secretary General back in 2021. Food systems have a critical impact on people and health. With the enormous challenges we are seeing every day in the headlines of our newspaper, we will continue to face major uncertainties in the future. In this regard, we need to have a meaningful and successful transition for our food system to be fit and resilient in delivering healthy food to people and co-benefits to the earth. Food system thinking is a whole economic approach. Producers, industry, transporters, retailers, and consumers must think collectively of what the transition entails. Thus, the importance of building structures for citizen dialogue on food transformation is enormous. Food system transformation needs to be a strategic national priority. In the European Union, we are implementing our European Green Deal with food system component, the Farm to Fork strategy, together with the biodiversity strategy. We are advancing in its implementation. What we are saying is the importance of enabling environment for transition, including regulatory frameworks and investment in sustainability. These are the decisive means of implementation, together with innovation, sharing trade, and capacity building along the whole food chain. In these opening remarks for this summit, the UN Secretary General underlined that the global food systems are broken. Indeed, at least 258 million people were in food crisis in 2022. Moreover, some actors deliberately undermine food security and market stability. In the last 3 days, we have discussed the transition of our food system to build more resilient agri-value chains and sustainable food systems. We need to scale up investments. Therefore, the European Union has launched its Global Gateway initiative that builds on close cooperation of the EU and its member states. We act as Team Europe. This offer is backed by 18 billion euro. Team Europe commitment in the form of grants for the period 2021-24. 7 billion euro of this amount have been distributed in 2022 alone. These grants aim to spearhead impact investments in pathways and food systems coalition towards sustainability. The European Union approach is transparent. EU funded more than 50 food systems assessment to identify levers for change. Green, European Union supports agroecological practices and soil health with 70 million euro with EFID. Scalable, European Union uses innovative financing and growth in private sector, such as the 120 million euro agri-food facility. We need coordinated policy discussion on food system transformation, notably to find ways of repurposing public investment to embrace the 3 pillars of sustainability of our food system. It is crucial to work together and share our experience. I encourage all countries to continue this discussion initiated by the United Nations Food System Summit 2 years ago, and that is continuing today, especially in joining the collaborative work within the coalition of actions. The European Union is reliable ally for our partners worldwide in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Food system sustainability will continue to be embedded in our bilateral relations. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had fertile exchanges with the African Union Commission and many ministers from Africa and Europe during the 5th African Union European Union Agriculture Ministerial Conference. We discussed at large sustainable investment towards data, information sharing and trade facilitation. We had similar discussions with our close partners from Latin America and Caribbean countries. But our footprint is global. The transition is a necessary step towards achieving climate neutrality, build the resilience of the food system, and works towards strengthening food and natural resources, most immediately water. Linked to the global gains of food security, food system transformation aims to improve social protection, notably through ensuring decent incomes, promoting affordable, healthy diets, and contributing to the aim of leaving no one behind. This will put us back on track towards meeting sustainable development goals. The European Union is committed to support this process through its domestic policies, international cooperation, and trade. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for reminding us that it's time to work together to scale up the level of action, to have an holistic approach, and to coordinate. So coordination and the approach in the different continents. So let's continue to surf through the continents, and let's welcome the Minister for Agriculture of Colombia, Jennifer Mojica. Welcome on stage. The floor is yours.
Buenas tardes. Un saludo muy especial a todos los organizadores, a las distintas personas que contribuyeron a que nos pudiéramos encontrar aquí. Realmente ha sido una experiencia impactante para todos y todas nosotras. Durante esta cumbre hemos escuchado de manera reiterada voces sobre la problemática del hambre que nos azota mundialmente y de la fragilidad de los sistemas alimentarios frente al cambio climático. Basta una tormenta, una granizada, un incendio o una inundación para hacer que millones de personas sufran de hambre. Estamos próximos a padecer un fenómeno del Niño, cuyas sequías quizás afectarán aún más nuestra agricultura y harán más gravosa nuestra supervivencia. En nombre del Gobierno de Colombia, queremos manifestar que estamos unidos en el compromiso de transformar los sistemas agroalimentarios, sistemas que recuperen, protejan y fortalezcan la agricultura familiar campesina, los saberes ancestrales, la agricultura sostenible y resiliente al cambio climático, pero también y especialmente que permitan una mejor calidad de vida de la población rural, que a la vez garantice a la humanidad el acceso a alimentos saludables, orgánicos y agroecológicos. Con satisfacción vi en estos 3 días cientos de voces que hablábamos al unísono sobre cuáles son las soluciones que debemos adoptar, sobre cómo se hace la resiliencia, la adaptabilidad, la transición, la descarbonización de la agricultura hacia una agricultura orgánica y sostenible climáticamente. Tal vez no escuché muchas voces de los países del norte global sobre cómo iban a transformar ellos mismos sus sistemas agroalimentarios. En este sentido, nos unen las acciones conjuntas que debemos llevar a cabo para pasar de los mensajes a resultados con impactos positivos. El conocimiento, la innovación, la tecnología y la riqueza tienen que ponerse al servicio de los países que tenemos las mayores posibilidades de producción alimentaria sostenible, que proteja la vida y la salud del planeta y sus habitantes, que a la vez reduzca las brechas de desigualdad. El eslabón más débil son nuestros agricultores campesinos, pueblos indígenas, pueblos pescadores, mujeres rurales, jóvenes rurales, que están a la deriva de distorsiones locales y globales entre producción y consumo, y que estamos a la deriva del cambio climático. En Colombia, por ejemplo, tenemos un potencial de 43 millones de hectáreas cultivables y, no obstante, 1/3 de nuestra población sufre de inseguridad alimentaria. El gran desafío, entonces, es avanzar con determinación en esfuerzos conjuntos que transformen esta realidad. Como voz de América Latina, como país del sur global, esta es una oportunidad para exigir más apoyo de la comunidad internacional en este propósito, pero no como filantropía. Por ejemplo, Colombia, y como nosotros, cientos de países que aquí manifestaron las mismas situaciones, tenemos los recursos, el potencial y la oportunidad de producir los alimentos saludables que el planeta demanda. Pero es insuficiente nuestra decisión política, nuestros programas y capital interno. La producción de alimentos en la lógica económica es una combinación de todos estos esfuerzos de manera eficiente, pero sobre todo social, ambiental y culturalmente. La lógica de la agricultura anterior del monocultivo fracasó por no tener estas últimas 3 dimensiones. Es momento para que seamos corresponsables y recíprocos. En la próxima cumbre que tengamos en algunos años, tenemos que superar el discurso y las propuestas. Ya no van a ser pilotajes ni experiencias experimentales sobre las posibilidades que tenemos de transformar nuestra agricultura. En nuestra próxima cumbre tendremos que venir con nuestros sistemas agroalimentarios transformados. Esta es una tragedia mundial que debe corregirse entre todos nosotros. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you also for reminding us the importance of those countries with this potential of sustainable agriculture in their own history and in their own tradition. So thank you very much, and let's move now to the Minister of Agriculture of Honduras, Laura Suazo. Join us on stage, because this experience of the Ministers of Agriculture is something that comes really from the daily experience. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the government of Italy. Thank you for your hospitality and for this amazing culture that you are very naturally sharing with all of us. Thank you to the director of the United Nations, Mr. Guterres, and especially thanks to Dr. Chu Dong-yu, the General Director of FAO, and also to the Director of the World Food Program, IFAD, and all the organizations that make this event possible. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and to the farmers around the planet, the world. I feel gratitude for this gathering. I think we should have more meetings like this, meetings that will end with important decisions to make changes. Those meetings can take place back at our homes with the main actors that also will help us to make possible to make changes. Without doubt, one important aspect that we must all be working here is about how to accelerate change. We start 2 days ago talking about the school food programs. Then, suddenly, we start talking about finance. And we listened to all these amazing opportunities around the world, in Africa, Latin America, what has been working well and what has not been working well. We also talk about climate change and its impact on the food and agri-food technologies and everything related to agri-food systems. We have heard, we have learned, and shared experiences, especially what I hear here are the best practices around different countries. And we pay a lot of attention just to see if maybe, perhaps, some of those good practices can be replicated in our own countries. Without doubt, all of us are concerned about the short time to reach 2030 and the accomplishment of the Sustainable Development Goals. The responsibles for achieving the SDG are all of us. I have learned these days, actually, I have undergone through a deep critical thinking that I am not usually able to experience because when you work as a Minister of Agriculture, you don't have time. You don't have too much time to think about, to deter. You have to make decisions. That you have to be able to be sure to make the best decisions for farmers to plant, for the country to have fertilizers, for other people to have the best decisions, business decisions, for finding the opportunities for our farmers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So these days, as well as you, I think, I have made my own commitments. One is to propose the United Nations representative back home to have a local meeting like this one, but back there at home. Make it possible for actors from all the sectors, like the private sector, the public, or all other colleagues from the government, but also the farmers liaisons, the leaders, to get together and find out not only about food and security, but also about the ways how we can make development change, sustainable development goals happen faster than ever. So there are 3 kind of reflections that I would like to share with you before going back home. And one of the first is about work together for an inclusive financial model that must be tailored to the needs of the farmers, as all of us know and reflect on the little amount of investment from public and private sector for providing financial opportunities for our farmers. We need to rethink the way that service has been provided. We need financial opportunities for all. We also need appropriate rates or interest of that loans, insurance, guarantees included. So a new financial model that leads farmers from production to selling. What I mean with this is that sometimes we have great opportunities for finance services, but the farmers work alone, and they get the money, they buy the inputs, they produce, but they don't have any companionship with the commercialization process. And at the end, if they not fail because of climate change, believe me, if there is no companionship, they will die when they are selling the products. So we need to pay more attention to that aspect. The second one is related, and it is attention to commercialization of agricultural products. Raw materials, as I said yesterday in my participation in the panel, countries like Honduras, who has all these rich natural resources, a lot of water, still good soil characteristics, but we don't have investment on water harvesting, infrastructure, agrologistic. All those aspects are also related to commercialization, so let's pay a lot more attention to that together, including fair trade and fair price for products. As all of us know, farmers are the most underprivileged workers in many countries. They work so hard, and we are not willing to pay more for food, for agricultural products, for agri-food. But we don't hesitate anytime we go to a store, a mall, or buy any other stuff that is not food, and pay. We don't ask for less. But when it is about food, we have troubles. We have to change that. We have to help together to re-evaluate, to give more value to the practice of farming. So in this commercialization aspect, I think this is also something that we cannot do by ourselves, not by the government, by the Minister of Agriculture. This is together with private sector, together with all the groups, associations, etc. Within commercialization, which will encourage a new state of the art, like being able to elevate laws to our Congress, where we can be able to motivate the change in the culture of behaving, of consuming bad food. We have to do that. We have to assume roles of responsibilities. For instance, that law about making prohibited for babies to drink sodas, carbonated drinks, from 0 to 1,000 days, prohibited, or even more, for 0 months to 10 years. If we do that, and that is prohibited for law, if we are not able to do it without law, so let's try with that mechanism. And believe me, our kids are going to be better fed. I think that the time for accelerated change is not now. It was yesterday. There are more than 2,300 days to increase the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals before 2030. We must put all the efforts to eradicate poverty and that's my final comment. We cannot be talking about food and security without not thinking about how to eradicate poverty in our countries and in many regions of those countries who have better economic conditions. Poverty is at the center of the factors that stop food safety, food nutrition, and deters humans to live with dignity. This call for action is not made by ministers or prime minister or presidents or authorities. This is for the farmers that we represent, for the stakeholders, and for that people living under vulnerability. This is for farmers and for those inhabitants from a global village that have at this time not hope for overcoming poverty, hunger, food insecurity, or bad tradition of consumptions of climate change. This call is for us, for making actors also, who have been making all these decisions, and I think that the final, let's say, petition or clamor is about how can we accelerate this change. We need project proposals, yes. We need undergoing projects that are successful. Let's go and make an accelerated replication of that, all the best practices. We need to work together. And all of this is about human beings. As I said previously, economy is having the first place. Environment is in the second place, but it's in bad conditions. And people are really bad. And most of the people are left behind. So we need to continue working together through agri-food systems for the better of us, human beings. So I hope that God help us to do the best we are able to do in our works. Blesses our presidents, our prime minister, and all the authorities, and also the farmers and the people of this planet. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last experience among the ministers of agriculture, let me call on stage Vatimir Ayalu, who's the Minister of Agriculture from Fiji. Please share your experience with us. Welcome, Minister.
Excellencies, all protocols observed. I have been tasked to speak on how food systems transformation can be integrated into youth policies. I would like to start by stating that Fiji has a national youth policy within the Ministry of Agriculture. And the aim is to actively involve our young people in the agriculture development of our country. The components of which include youth empowerment and the provision of livelihood opportunities and the identification of our future farmers and the support for institutions that provide training for our young farmers. Let me state that in my country, there is a problem of replacement farmers, because most of the farmers that are there are really the old farmers whose families are not willing to get into the farming business. Therefore, government needs to train young people in these institutions so that we can keep agriculture production going in Fiji. Let me state that it has not been an easy task. 60% of our population fall under the young people's category. And as such, these are the group, this category, where lies the highest number of unemployed. They are the most vulnerable to crime and drugs and abuse within society. And they are the ones that are targeted for the migration schemes, which results in the loss of skilled labor in my country. And the aim is to actively engage these young people, like I said, in Fiji's agriculture development. As you know, that the creation of opportunities in agriculture production will lead to the creation of employment and the increase in economic activity and the overall development of our economy. In terms of education, we are looking at reintroducing the technical vocational training to help in reskilling our young people in agriculture, in active agriculture production. Let me say that getting our young people back into agriculture production is not as simple as it may seem. There is a notion in my country where they say that unemployed young people should be sent back to their villages so that they can farm the idle land. But I say that it is not that simple, because farming is something that should be taught. Farming is a skill, and our young people need first to be upskilled in the institutions where agriculture education is provided before they can start tilling the land. Ladies and gentlemen, under the youth policy within the Ministry of Agriculture, we will be working in collaboration with other ministries, the Ministry of Fisheries and Forests, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, to target the production of nutritious food and to educate our young people to start consuming more healthy foods as compared to the junk food that is in abundance today. In conclusion, I would like to state that the youth are our future. They are our leaders. They are our future leaders. They are the future of our planet. They have the energy, they have the numbers, they have the knowledge, but all this energy and all this knowledge needs to be channeled in the right manner, such that it may benefit not only the countries where the youth are from, but most importantly, our planet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister, for sharing this particular experience and for telling us how you're reintegrating in the process, in the agricultural process, your youth. But it's time now to speak about youth, yes, and you see the chair coming because, and let me just call on stage Nicolas Venegas from Chile and Pramisha Trapalia from Nepal. She comes from the World Food Forum and from the youth of SINA. I'm afraid that's mine.
Oh,
so, no, it's okay. No, it's not a problem at all. But let me just ask you something, because, you know, we were here together at the opening, and the voice of the youth was here, but saying you're not listening to us enough. So let me just ask both of you, actually, how you see these 3 days, and what's your final message to this audience?
Bueno, gracias por la invitación. Mi nombre es Nicolás Domke Venegas. Yo vengo desde el sur de Chile. Soy parte de la Asociación Internacional de Estudiantes Forestales, miembro del Comité de Política del Foro Mundial de la Alimentación y representante joven en el Grupo SENA en el Centro de Coordinación de los Sistemas Alimentarios de las Naciones Unidas. Haciendo un poco de memoria y trayendo al presente el proceso de la cumbre del 2021, los jóvenes tuvimos posiciones de liderazgo y participamos en la toma de decisión de los 5 tracks de acción, participando en el diseño de los equipos, redacción de los documentos y las consultas realizadas en el marco de la cumbre del 2021. No solo eso, sino que en el 2021 los jóvenes también fuimos incluidos en la red de campeones de los sistemas alimentarios, conformando un grupo de enlace juvenil con la cumbre y participando en iniciativas como Act for Food, Act for Change, que surgieron durante el desarrollo de este proceso. Así podemos decir con seguridad que los jóvenes estuvimos en la vanguardia de la cumbre el año 2021, abocando por la construcción de los sistemas alimentarios más sostenibles y justos para todos. Siendo involucrados de esta manera, que debía ser un ejemplo para los demás procesos de las Naciones Unidas. Pero en los últimos 2 años no hemos visto lo mismo. Mis colegas jóvenes que estuvieron presentes el año 2021 pueden dar fe de ello. No hemos tenido el mismo impulso, la misma participación, la misma energía, el mismo compromiso realizado que tuvimos el año 2021. Pero vamos a los números. Y aquí quiero agradecer al Foro Mundial de la Alimentación por desarrollar un análisis de las rutas nacionales. Actualmente hay 146 países miembros que participan de este proceso, de los cuales 114 han sometido rutas nacionales. Si analizamos estas rutas, solo 77 mencionan a los jóvenes. Aquí estamos hablando del concepto. Solo 41 perciben a los jóvenes como sujetos de desarrollo. Solo 36 rutas proponen a los jóvenes como transformadores juveniles en la participación y también mencionan el empleo joven dentro de la transformación de los sistemas alimentarios como algo crucial dentro de esta transformación. Más alarmante aún, 36 de estos documentos de estas rutas nacionales no mencionan a la juventud para nada. El concepto no está presente. Sumado a esto, a través de mi participación en el Grupo SENA, así como en las reuniones preparatorias regionales de América Latina y el Caribe y los diálogos sostenidos antes de este momento de balance, les puedo asegurar que teniendo asientos de representación global no es suficiente para tener una participación significativa de los jóvenes en la implementación de las hojas de ruta nacionales. Nosotros los jóvenes realmente queremos una participación de los jóvenes en el proceso de desarrollo y implementación de estas rutas nacionales y no solo ser beneficiarios de las políticas. Para esto hacemos un llamado, lo estuvimos haciendo en el site event que tuvimos y siendo el único site event desarrollado por organizaciones lideradas por jóvenes hoy día en el horario de almuerzo. Estamos haciendo un llamado a los países miembros a que nos apoyen en el establecimiento de una coalición por y para los jóvenes, para que las organizaciones dirigidas por jóvenes compartan buenas prácticas y puedan trabajar directamente con los Estados miembros y otras partes interesadas en la implementación de las rutas nacionales. A través de esta coalición de y para jóvenes, buscamos que los convocantes nacionales puedan contar con un aliado que les permita elaborar mecanismos de involucramiento joven y conozcan las prioridades de las juventudes en toda su diversidad, porque estas son localizadas y son distintas dependiendo de las regiones y los países. Así, podremos desarrollar un marco sólido de monitoreo y rendición de cuentas en colaboración con otras organizaciones, y la próxima vez que nos volvamos a reunir, esperemos que la juventud tenga un rol preponderante en esta transformación de los sistemas alimentarios. No es demasiado tarde para que nos incluyan en la mesa a nivel nacional y subnacional, porque los cambios necesarios deben ocurrir a nivel local. Nosotros, la juventud, estamos dispuestos y les hacemos un llamado a incluirnos en la mesa a cada uno de ustedes. Para finalizar, y siendo miembro de la comunidad LGBTI+, no puedo dejar de mencionar que la inclusión de la juventud debe ser en el más amplio sentido, reconociendo nuestros derechos, las formas de familias que queremos conformar y sin dejar a nadie atrás. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Very clear, very straight, factual. So there's a call here for participation to be at the table for young, but with young person, because that's the key part of it.
Thank you for the questions. All project excellencies, all protocols observed. I'd like to thank Government of Italy and Food System Summit Coordination Hub for giving you the space in the closing ceremony. I want to touch on little statistics here. According to the recent 2023, the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World, SOFI report, between 691 and 783 million people faced hunger in 2022. This is not just a mere number that we're talking about. This is about the people on the ground. This is about most vulnerable and marginalized communities and people including children, young people, small-scale food producers, women, and indigenous peoples. In the last 3 days here at the Stocktaking moment, we talked about the progress and the challenges following off from the commitments that was made by member states in the Food System Summit 2021. We heard some of the progress. We also shared best practices that you could go back and implement in your home country. But also we had a lot of discussions about the challenges, including climate change, conflict, biodiversity loss, livestock emissions, soil health depletion, trade barriers, leading to the gaps in the implementations of the commitments that you made in 2021. And we are missing a large section of society in this conversation who could help to fill this gap, that is our young people. Excellencies, I want to ask you a question here. How many young people did you bring with your national delegation in this stocktaking moment? And how many young people are you working with back in your home country to implement the national pathways in your respective countries that you committed back in 2021? So it's very unfortunate that we have not seen meaningful partnership of national conveners and member states with youths when they are following up their commitments from the Food System Summit. A collective challenge like our broken agri-food systems, which our UN Secretary General also said in his opening speech, it needs collective interventions. And young people bring significant expertise, work, and value in implementing national pathways. When we talk about young people, sometimes we don't know what kind of expertise they bring in the table. So we need to recognize that we young people are experts in our respective species. So we are young farmers, young legislators, young scientists, young parliamentarians, young activists, and many more. So we are ready to work with national conveners and member states. So we ask your support to bring young people as a partner with the envisioned Youth Coalition in the implementation of national pathways as one of the key partners and experts, not just as stakeholders and right holders. We ask you to support young people with finance, capacity building, and means of implementation. I also want to highlight that World Food Forum is organizing the 3rd annual World Food Forum flagship event in October here at FAO headquarters, Rome, with the theme Food Action Accelerates Climate Action. Please bring the young people through your national delegations in the World Food Forum, FSS+4 and beyond in food governance and policy spaces, and work with them back in your home country and community. Young people are ready to take the lead and work together with member states to accelerate the implementation of national pathways and increase the substantial progress in the lead up to FSS+4 with healthier, just, equitable, and inclusive food systems transformation. So I want to finalize my intervention telling that the progress of a country not only depends upon the wisdom of its government, but also on the unwavering support and potential of its young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you. And if I may, thank you for reminding us that it's not just to have young people on board, but to have their expertise and their knowledges and their presence as an active factor, not just because we need another representative somewhere. Thank you very much. Another round of applause to our friends here. And thanks for your contributions. And now let's go to this video that is going to help us with a little wrap-up of the issue.
In a world of plenty, it is outrageous that people continue to suffer and die from hunger. Global food systems are broken and billions of people are paying the price. Transforming food systems requires all hands on deck.
Here in Rome, we have the chance to start a new journey towards global food security.
Again, such a key issue, 3 long days, very intense, and now, going towards the future, what we have to do, the call for action. So it's now time to, once again, meet the main representatives of the agencies and to listen from them what's their opinion on what happened these days, but also what they're going to do and what are their plans. So let me just introduce Cindy Hensley-McCain and welcome her on stage. She is the Executive Director of the World Food Programme. Please, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends. We reached the end of our meeting this week, and I am inspired and motivated by the stories of success I have heard and the commitment I have seen from everyone here. The conversations we have been having about food systems are fundamentally conversations about people. I hope we all leave here today energized and excited about our shared mission to redesign global food systems. so they are capable of sustaining our communities, our planet, and our future prosperity. There is no doubt that numerous challenges lie ahead. Humanitarian needs continue to rise in many parts of the world, and the resources needed to meet them are running low. War, environmental degradation, and economic turbulence are wreaking havoc on global food security. Our task is more urgent than ever, but the past 3 days have been a powerful reminder that we already have many of the solutions to hunger right in our hands. Programs that are evidence-based and proven to work. We now need to act swiftly to implement and scale up these solutions, embrace innovations in technology, and invest in the resources needed to ensure that food security is a reality for every family and every community. Talking with all of you, we have identified 5 key areas requiring action in the months and the years ahead to make resilient food systems a reality. First, promoting local production for local consumption. Second, employing climate-sensitive agriculture practices right across the production chain. Third, drastically reducing post-harvest loss. Fourth, leveraging investments in public procurement to benefit rural communities. And fifth, putting young people and women at the center of our efforts, creating new opportunities for education and employment. We must also continue building on the success of the School Meals Coalition and take up the challenge from the Deputy Secretary General to expand school meals programs so that they reach all of the world's 730 million primary children. 85 nations have recognized that these programs are so much more than just a healthy meal. But we want every nation to come on board. The coalition is a new kind of multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral partnership, and one that tackles the root causes of hunger and strengthens the entire local food system. Every single one of us has to play our part. And this is why forging new and deeper partnerships across organizations and sectors is critically important. I'm hugely encouraged to see that so many global leaders from government, civil society, and the private sector have shown up for this meeting. Our time together here is just beginning. Let's keep talking, sharing ideas and expertise, and finding new ways to collaborate and work together until the day we have food systems that are capable of feeding each and every person on our planet. The spirit of partnership is strong here in Rome. WFP will continue working every day with our sister agencies, FAO and EFAD, to achieve the resilient food systems we all want to see. We will also support the Food Systems Coordination Hub, and above all, the governments and communities who know better than anyone what is needed to end hunger among their people. Excellencies, as we look ahead, it is critical that the lessons and outcomes of this meeting stay with us and inspire our future efforts. We have a huge amount to do before we meet again in 2 years' time. But working together, all of us as one united team, we will do whatever it takes to transform our food systems for the future. I know that we can and that we will succeed. Thank you. Now let's get to work.
Thank you, and working together. And this is why I call on the stage the President of IFAD, Alvaro Lario. Welcome again.
Excellencies, DSG, honorable ministers friends of our sister agencies. I would like to start by thanking all participants for these really fruitful discussions over these days. Also the government of Italy for your warm hospitality and your leadership, our sister agencies for all the collaboration, the UN Rome Hub, all the staff who have made this happen, and the farmers and farmers organizations and young leaders who joined us today. This week has confirmed that collectively we know the solutions to transform food systems. But a big takeaway is that we need a lot more action and a lot more financing to back it up. This was also clear to me when I joined several of you with Prime Minister Mia Mottley and President Macron under the new Global Financial Pact. Communities should not have to choose between eating or planting. Governments should not have to choose between development or climate. And the world should not have to choose between people or planet. Simply stated, without the adequate financing for food systems transformation, we will not reach the Sustainable Development Goals, the Global Climate Agreement, or our objective of a world without poverty or hunger. Transforming our food systems is essential for all of us. We must all work together to make it happen because, as we heard, the cost of inaction is much higher than the cost of action. We have seen the messages loud and clear, and we all remind the figure of the World Bank estimates of 400 billion per year. This financing must reach the poorest rural people, who are the crucial actors in transforming the food systems. This is also the DNA at IFAD. We invest side by side with governments in some of the most remote and under-resourced areas of the world to improve the livelihoods of rural people. We strive to make sure that every dollar goes to this government funding, and that the funding goes to create the opportunities and changing the lives of the most vulnerable. These tools can turn their vision for countries' food sovereignty into policy action and into concrete investment opportunities. We have also actively advocated for a change in the global financial architecture, in particular for SDRs to expand the support for IFIs for countries that are facing debt distress. I am also proud to say, and we have announced with the World Bank, that we're taking a leading role in shaping the new financing agenda for food systems transformation and developing a tool jointly with OECD, FAO, and other partners on financial flows for food systems. This tool will help and will enable governments to really inform their investments and making sure that all the dollars go to the highest impact. No agency can achieve this agenda alone, just as no government can. In particular, our partnership, like the executive director of WFP was saying, is key for building resilient food systems. And the experience to deliver transformative change and work together can maximize this impact. We will continue supporting the UN Food System Coordination Hub, and we will work with all our partners in this achievement. This also includes the Coalition on School Meals and the Decent Work for Equitable Food Systems Coalition, or the Agriculture Coalition on Public Development Banks under the Financing Common Initiative. Food systems are not just about food. They cut across almost all development and policy areas: environment and climate, energy, education, social development, health, finance, infrastructure, policy and governance, among many others. And they are also critical to reducing inequality and to reducing poverty. We are currently discussing what kind of world we want the next generation to inherit. For this, let us seize this moment of the Stocktake. Let's take concrete actions, work together to create a future of food and nutrition security for all, while we are also protecting the environment and creating prosperous livelihoods for the small-scale farmers who are producing our food. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Lario. And what we see here is that from the different visions and the different approaches, what we really need is, again, more finance, more action, and working together to maximize the impact. So let me just welcome on stage our host here, the Secretary, the Director General of FAO, Hugh Donneau. Please join us on stage to go towards the conclusion of these days. Director.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Vice Premier, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tajani, and my sister fellows, DSG, all the colleagues from Roma agencies, UN agencies here, and the member of state representatives. First, most important, I congratulate you, all of you. You remained last minute for this close remarks and the ceremony. You are historical evidence witness to see this historical event happening, hosted by the Italian government, and the strongly cooperation, coherence among the members, among the UN agencies. So it's a special privilege for FAO offer the public service for you. Of course, this building is donated by Italian government and people with €1 a year. So thanks for the host country and so many years long commitment to support FAO, support the WFP and the IFAD and others, 23 UN agencies in Italy. Together it's 26. This week, with all of your exercises to rethinking, recital, and restart the agenda to go further. It's a global movement. I know all of you, not only for these 3 days, before these 3 days, you spend 3 weeks, 3 months, and 3 years together. You know, we, Armenia Mohammed, when we designed the Food System Summit together, we had a lot of internal debate. But unfortunately, pandemic stopped us. But also thanks to the pandemic, it somehow forced us to change the business model. So we had a very challenging pre-summit, together with strong support from the Italian government and the Roma city government. Makes the pre-summit so successful, so challenging, of course, but then we had summit. And then, thanks to the trust from the DSG, asked FAO, myself, to host the coordination hub. So now, with my fellow support from WFP and the IFAD, and we are coming to the end. Of course, I know the DSG and the, Mr. Tajani will give the close remarks. I just use this opportunity to get my thought to share with you. I hope you can live in Roma with the key takeaways to support your national pathway. We have heard about many challenges you are facing, but also that every difficult emergence opportunities. I always say when you face the challenges, but you have to try your best to find the opportunities. That's a real life, that's a real world. We have collectively recognized that the drivers of food insecurity and malnutrition, that they become even more complex due to the reinforcing and the interconnected risk, impact of the climate crisis, economic shocks, ongoing conflict, and other natural disasters. We never know even tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But we have to try our best to prepare ourselves anticipatory, based on science and the data. We discussed the need for high-level, long-term political commitment, and from all the party partners, and as well as the importance of leveraging the humanitarian development peace nexus. Over these past 3 days, we learned about the importance of investment in infrastructure, especially in the rural areas, in agro-food systems, to ensure what we produce has access to the market. Circular economy, to increase the efficiency, sustainability, reduce the loss and waste. The true cost of food, to make the hidden cost benefit visible for effective decision-making. Legal infrastructure provide incentive and structure for action. developing value chains to build the resilient agri-food system, and trade, of course, is always on the topic, to discuss the food diversity, ensure the better nutrition, and access to the health data. And also yesterday evening, we had a very good coalition for World Farmers Market coalition. That's come to the farmers, led by the farmers. I think they have built a future for the farmers. That's why from day one, I supported the coalition. Of course, a school meal, as mentioned by the Senator McCain. And that's something touched my heart for young and for the poor farmers, smallholder farmers. Dear colleagues, we also heard a lot of strong message about putting people at the center, because it will help us design more effectively solutions. We need to include the youth and the women, and I heard your suggestion, so you are most welcome to lead some side event in the World Food Forum. That's in my hand, so you have more freedom to play. Science, technology, data, innovation for better production will also increase climate resilience and the nutritional quality of food. Natural resources are the foundation of agri-food systems. We need to improve their efficient use. We need to produce more with less. The importance of aquatic food to end hunger and malnutrition, and FAO Blue Transformation is a visionary initiative to achieve this objective. Animal protein production still is one of the important nutrition source for human being, especially aquatic food. Fish is mostly environment-friendly animal production so far, what I understood. The importance of data and geospatial data for making decisions. International cooperation includes South-South and the Triangle Cooperation. The need for enabling policy and the governance structure, and the digitalization as one of the main accelerators to advance agri-food transformation. Farmers hold the key to the driving, adapting, and implementing new practice, innovations, and technology. FAO will continue to provide its technical expertise to the world's farmer, and to actively exploit a whole range of the innovations, promote the cutting-edge technology, include process agriculture, data analysis, artificial intelligence, blockchains, biotechnologies, gene editings, and all other related modern technology to improve the agricultural input, seeds, fertilizer, and insecticide, pesticide, and soil mapping, soil improvement, and water treatment technology, and so on and so forth. So we are try our best to use all the tools in the toolbox. That's the open society. That's the beauty of agri-food systems. Depend on different kind of environment, different soil, different market, different history of the food. Food is not only food. Food is related history and culture. That makes cultural identity of the food. Of course, based on science, based on nutrition science. But different people have different flavor, preference. That's how grow up from different cultural background. Dear friends, over our 3 days moment, we have learned that the partnerships are essential to build the world free from hunger and are critical to transform our agri-food systems. This has been gathering of friends, and now we need to further stress our relationship and the partnership. It is also inspiring to see the progress of many coalitions, and FAO will continue to provide the technical support, expertise to many of these. FAO is also committed to work more closely, meaningfully with all our UN partners and other civil societies, private sectors, academic institutions to increase our efficiency and scale up our collective impact on the ground. And I believe I speak on all of my colleagues here. We have to play the unique role to transform global agri-food systems together. We are far from achieve the SDGs by 2030. In a world where the projections show 600 million people will be hungry by 2030, transforming global agri-food systems is not a choice. It must be to ensure food security for all. I hope this stock-taking moment has provided a holistic window to see where we stand, what we have done so far, and how much we needed to do more and better. The path is long. We need to accelerate our steps and determine to claim something challenging in advance, in front of us. FAO is committed to continue working with you, hand in hand, along your national pathway toward the better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life, to leaving no one behind. During this stock-taking moment, we have witnessed the value of the UN Food Systems Coordination Hub hosted in FAO on behalf of the UN system. As an effective, efficient, coherent coordinator and a facilitator, bringing together national food system conveners and collective essential data. Going forward, we need to strengthen the hub and increase our collective support for further improve its work and effectiveness. We can learn in the kudos from the Italian government and other UN agencies to support the coordination hub. I invite you all to return to Roma in October. Our regional office, also we will have a hybrid model for World Food Forum this year. October 16, that week, is one of the world's most effective platforms to continue dialogue on the agri-food system transformation. Forum will provide an opportunity to promote investment, science and innovation, global youth and women engagement, including indigenous people, and also 3 fundamental pillars for global agri-food system transformation. Before closing, please make a strong as a round of applause for all my colleagues who working behind the ceiling, and also from Italy, from the UN headquarters, from the Roma agency. Thank you very much. And also for those making a long journey coming to Roma. I know Roma is not built in one day. And the transformation agri-food system is not only one day. Let's work for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the FAO Director General. Thank you for reminding us of the long history of Rome. And, 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, she was on this very stage. And from that moment on, every single time I hear the expression call for action, I think of her. So it's an honor and a pleasure to introduce you, the UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. As my brother Dong Yu said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but I can assure you we're going to do in faster than a day the Food System Summit quickly yesterday. Distinguished heads of state and government, our Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Tajani, honorable ministers that are here with us, Her Excellency, my sister, the Commissioner from the African Union, Dr. Sacco, colleagues and friends, and I'm going to say especially our young people who have spoken truth to power today. We've come to the end of the Food System Stock Summit, our Stocktake+2, and over the last 3 days, you've gathered around essential tasks, highlighting efforts to make food systems work for people, for planet, and to steer global action towards SDG 2 and the 2030 Agenda, and that's just been amazing. I'd like to sincerely thank the government of Italy for hosting, facilitating, and supporting this really important meeting. They've done this now for the second time, and I'm pretty sure if we let them do it for the third time in 2 years, they will. So thank you, Italy, and the people of Italy. Thank you also, and commend each and every one of the leaders who, including ministers, who came overwhelmingly from the South and who made this effort come together this week. I'd also like to thank our member states who here, day in day, keep fire under our feet on the agendas of food. Thank you also to the UN family, including our 3 Rome-based agencies, but also FAO for really sharing their home with us. And every corridor I went down, the welcome from the staff in FAO has been tremendous. So thank you very much for bringing us in. But making this happen and preparing the ground so effectively has been all of you that have turned up, because you didn't have to turn up given all the stresses and strains in the world. You did because food matters. And I want to give a particular shout out for young people and young leaders, but also for indigenous people and for our women who are all here working hard towards making sure that we take the words of action into reality. I'd like to thank the CFS as well. But also yesterday we were entertained by what is possible in the World Farmers Market and what Coldiretti has been able to do. So thank you. My delegation, 1 out of the 2 that I have, was a young person. So I'd like everyone to ask themselves about that, because the minute they said it, I quickly checked myself. It's hard to do because we automatically lean towards what is comfortable. And I think it's a good reminder that we do have young people in our office, and sometimes they're not the first to get on the delegation. Having been a minister, I know what it is like to put a delegation together, and a DSG the same. But it is worth it, because the energy and some of the blind spots we have as older people are revealed by young people very quickly. But I do have something else to say to young people. If you really have not seen in the last 2 years an engagement of youth, then my sincere apologies, because this is not something that we should ever accept. You are over 70% of many of our populations, and so you've given us a charge over the next 2 years. That next 2 years we come back, that you'll be able to say that you're fully involved, engaged, and in fact it's too much for you, stop. That's what we'd like to see, so thank you. We're meeting today just over a month out from a hugely important SDG summit. When world leaders have endorsed the SDGs, they did this in 2015, it was a moment of genuine hope and possibility. Few of us would have predicted we would reach the halfway point so far off track. But there's no escaping that reality. We are failing in our quest to end poverty and hunger, in our fight against climate change, pollution, biodiversity loss, and in our pursuit of gender equality, shared prosperity, and peace for all. Yet I am heartened by what I've seen over the last 3 days, and particularly from the energy and the direction that young people and our women have given throughout this conference. In 2 years, the vision that the Secretary General put forward in 2021 Food Systems Summit, we've seen it root and we've seen it create a movement with the momentum that has come from all the stakeholders in this room and those that are listening to us today. At this meeting, we've heard countries share vivid accounts of your food system journeys, and some have been hard, and others have been really exciting. But we've seen this through the 100 voluntary reports. And stakeholders here have developed and shared a shadow report. And I really, really urge everyone to read the shadow report, because it's a check and balance to whether we really have made it on things that we think we have, or we've missed some out. You've spoken about your achievements, you've spoken about your threats, the frustrations and the difficulties ahead. Yet, to borrow an analogy that is well known here in the home, not only of food, but also football, no game is ever won in the first half. Excellencies, together we are building an engine of true transformation to drive us forward. The energy, commitment, and determination that we've witnessed can bring us closer to other development transitions that will make or break the SDGs, from education, social protection, jobs, clean energy, nature, and digitalization. We may not be winning the game at half-time for the Sustainable Development Goals, but the final outcome is still within our control, and this can be a winning team. There isn't time to lose, and we have discussed this in gathering. We need acceleration. We need breakthroughs on the SDGs financing and the means of implementation. The last 3 years have dramatically changed the fiscal and debt profiles of many, many developing countries. Addressing the high cost of debt and the mounting risk of debt distress is of utmost importance to us all, as we've said in our recent report launched by the Secretary General, a world of debt, a growing burden of global prosperity. Countries need breathing space and greater international support and investment, and they need that now. Developing countries, especially those with high debt burdens, not caused by themselves, but the exacerbation of the crises that we have had, require increased liquidity during times of crisis, and we have the responsibility of making the global safety net work for everyone. The message is clear: without access to financing and debt relief, developing countries will not be able to invest in food systems that take us beyond just feeding people. We should never have to hear, as we did from leaders this afternoon, that countries are having to choose between whether they feed their people, they send them to education, or they have health facilities, all this because they have a debt burden that they have to service. So we need your continued leadership, and we need ambition. The challenges faced by our food systems are not easily overcome, and we're seeing rural poverty persistent and widespread. Over 258 million people facing acute insecurity. 45 million of our children are suffering from wasting, and you can't recover from that. And 670 million people are facing hunger in 2030. The same proportion as we had in 2015. So for everything that we've done, we would say in 2030 we're just flatlining. Every investment that we put in would not have made the difference required with the expectations. And as the Secretary General said on Monday, the situation has become even more dire for food security with the termination of the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Under the Global Crisis Response Group, out of which the Black Sea Grain Initiative came, the UN continues to look at alternatives to responding to the evolving finance, energy, and food crisis, and here working with our UN family, including IFAD and FAO. And here we're calling on the global community that really need efforts to return to the full implementation of the initiative. We do need the full participation and commitment of member states to turn the tide and to get back on track. It is important that member states own this agenda. This is not the Secretary General's agenda. The conversation about finance hasn't been absent, real commitments have, and we need to capitalize of the MDBs. Capitalization of the MDBs. We need replenishment of IFAD. And all this can be done through many, many sources. But we are calling for an additional $100 billion of SDRs that can be rechanneled to these institutions, IFAD, MDBs, in addition to what we already have going through the IMF. But allow me to underscore again, none of the commitments that we are speaking about today are outside the outcomes that were negotiated by member states in 2015 for 2030. This is a promise that we made for people and for planet. And the stocktake, the ideas behind this are meant to elevate and rescue these commitments, rescue the credibility, rescue the trust that is fast being lost between those who have and those who don't. We need to engage more strategically with the private sector. And we also need to see that the coalitions that have come out of the Food Systems Summit are reinvigorated. But we need to get more investments, science, innovation, and we can't leave this room without recognizing, as a collective, the centrality of the private sector in the food and agriculture sector. Together with member states and the private sector, we need to support, energize, and empower local partners, civil society, our indigenous communities, all at the forefront of this battle. We need the food systems ecosystem, the private sector and technology companies, all shifting their focus, their business models towards people. Yes, profit's good for the bottom line, but not on the back of people. We can have it with people at the center, and we can ensure better outcomes for people and planet. It must be among our priorities for UNFSS+4. Excellencies, we leave this stocktaking with a clear path and a renewed sense of urgency given to us by youth, but also conviction. This urgency and conviction are well reflected in the Secretary General's call to action for accelerated food systems transformation, which I've had the honor of introducing today, be available to everyone, and I want to thank all those that we have consulted for lifting that ambition to what we have to do over the next 2 years. The call recognizes the compounding crisis over the past 3 years that have had a dramatic effect on already fragile food systems. It highlights shocking data that shows how far we are in our journey, the unequal access to finance, the international financial architecture, the persistence of war and conflict, and ever-worsening climate change. All of this makes food system transformation even tougher, but not what we cannot achieve. Instead of weakening our resolve, I believe these challenges sharpen our collective realization that sustainable food systems are one of the fundamental conditions for human dignity, for solidarity, for a prosperous future, and for a healthy planet. They have strengthened our commitment to transform food systems to help deliver the promise of the 2030 Agenda. So we're turning ambition into action. Still much to do. This stocktake has allowed us to amplify these successes and agree on actionable next steps to make food systems work for people and for our planet alike. The Secretariat's call to action is a call to all actors to step up, to lean in, to commit to that action and implementation around what we see as 3 concrete action points that we've heard coming out of the rooms in this stocktake. The first, that we must embed the food system strategies across all national policies for sustainable development. The second, that we must establish food systems governance that brings together all stakeholders across our society. The third, that we need to invest in research and data and innovation and technological capacities. The fourth, we must promote engagement and accountability of business to shape the sustainability of food systems, recognizing their centrality in the food and agriculture ecosystem. The fifth, every step of implementation, we must include full participation of our women farmers, of our young people, and of our indigenous people at the local level. Sixth, we must ensure long-term concessional finance. We must look for investments, budget support, and debt restructuring. On the 6th, we must also look to working with the IFIs and IMF, the World Bank, to deliver immediate investments in emergency responses to food support, especially in African countries, where hunger is twice the global average. Trade barriers and harmful subsidies and export restrictions need to be avoided, as do hoarding and speculative behavior. We must ensure the openness and integrity of market transparency. But this stock-taking moment has confirmed that we have learned in the first Food Systems Summit, that we can increase ambition and we can accelerate action. Every step, the UN system, led by the coordinated action of the Rome-based agencies, FAO, WFP, and IFAD, and the UN Food System Coordination Hub, they'll continue to provide leadership to make the food systems transformation a reality for the 155 countries and stakeholders that have embarked on this process already, and those that we encourage to join in the future. It's our collective responsibility and our common purpose, and we're proud to take this journey with you all. Let us take the spirit of this convening into the broader push to rescue the SDGs and into concrete day-to-day efforts to make food systems work for everyone. A number of global gatherings are happening this year. The SDG Summit, the high-level dialogue on financing for development, and the 3 health meetings, the World Food Forum, the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi, the IMF and the World Bank meetings in Marrakesh, COP28 in Dubai, and we heard yesterday from the Minister of the UAE how they're incorporating food systems into that meeting. So we do have a chance to turn the tide together. At every meeting, we get a stronger turn. The time for food systems transformation we know is yesterday, but now's as good as any. And depending on how each one of us work collectively and in solidarity, it will happen. Perhaps I can end with one last real live expression of how desperate people are. Last week, Cindy McCain and I visited Chad. We did so to see the humanitarian crisis on the border with Sudan. And there were 2 sides to that coin. We visited the crisis on the border. We saw atrocities and horrendous hardship for women and children. There were 90% of those coming across the border. But we also saw the other side, visiting many of the islands in the Lake Chad where development was happening at a slow pace, but it was happening. So the call here again is that to the international community, we must do something about what we need to do to help 330,000 people running into Chad to save their lives and passing 11, 12 checkpoints with atrocities that befall them into a country that has nothing, but is so generous to give. We must support that side of our human family equally. In the same time, if we want to get to the root cause of many of these conflicts, development needs to be treated as an emergency, because what we saw is too little too late. And we saw both sides of that coin. My last call, of course, is for leaders who inflict such pain on their populations. It is today unacceptable that the conflicts that we have, and they are amongst men, we need to find peace and not to win wars, because they're never won. It's always on the back of women and children. And with that, let me just say, as Nelson Mandela once said, all today may seem impossible until it's done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you once again for your inspiring message. And now Italy has been the host country. Italy believes quite a lot in what has been discussed in this room these days. So let me invite on the podium for the final remarks Antonio Tajani, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ministro Tajani, il podio è suo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buonasera a tutti. First of all, I would like to thank the Secretary General Gutierrez and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations for their leadership during this important summit. Thank you very much, Amina, for your engagement. Very good speech in the conclusion of these 3 days. Thank you very much for your work, not only during this summit, but every day. Thank you very much. I also to thank the Secretary General of the Food and Agriculture Organization. Congratulations for your elections. You will stay along in my country, in Italy, after your victory, other 4 years. Good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you for the cooperation with the Italian government on the most important engagement against the difficult situation everywhere. This against climate change, in favor of our people. This is very important. Multilateralism is crucial in the Italian foreign policy. But thank you very much. I thank all the delegation, the heads of the state and the government, more than 20, the minister, 100, for their participation in the Roma Summit. Je veux aussi remercier tous ceux qui parlent la langue française et qui s'expriment en langue française pour être ici chez nous en Italie. Un grand merci por votre travail, por votre participación. Agradezco también a todos los hispanos hablantes porque hablamos siempre en inglés. Yo creo que también puede ser muy positivo agradecer todos una vez todos los hispanos hablantes que están aquí trabajando con nosotros en contra del cambio climático. The results of this summit. The Italian government is very proud of these 3 days. Very important for achieving good results, for starting for a new season in favor of the security food. First of all, because Russia decided to stop the agreement on Black Sea. This is a very negative decision, very dangerous for the African people. We will push for a new agreement. We will support the Turkish work. It's crucial to restart with a new agreement, not because of us, but because of the poor people living in Africa. Grain is important for children, is important for women, is important for millions and millions of people living very difficult moment on of Africa, and not only. For this, I ask to the Russian government, please change your decision. Please change your decision. Allow me to speak in my mother tongue in Italian. Come ho detto, le Nazioni Unite e il multilateralismo, lo hanno ripetuto anche il Presidente della Repubblica, il Presidente del Consiglio, sono il cardine della politica estera dell'Italia e in questo spirito abbiamo affrontato gli importanti temi al centro di questi 3 giorni, lavorando sempre fianco a fianco delle Nazioni Unite per dare soluzioni operative ai problemi, come vi ha appena detto la nostra Amina, che voglio ringraziare ancora per tutto ciò che fa per aiutare le persone più deboli. Però voglio sottolineare anche i risultati politici e concreti che abbiamo raggiunto tutti insieme in questi 3 giorni di lavori. Primo, abbiamo discusso di sicurezza alimentare ad ampio spettro, partendo dalla necessità di assicurare a tutti il cibo, soprattutto alle fasce più vulnerabili della popolazione, bambini e donne, e ai paesi più colpiti dalle crisi alimentari come il continente africano. Il cibo non può essere un'arma di ricatto. L'Italia, ripeto, sostiene l'importanza dell'accordo sul grano per assicurare che arrivi a chi ne ha più bisogno. La pace e la stabilità sono condizioni necessarie per assicurare il diritto al cibo per tutti. Stiamo seguendo con attenzione la situazione in Niger, paese fondamentale per la stabilità del Sahel e caro anche all'Italia, che è presente con molta cooperazione e una missione militare. Secondo risultato, abbiamo affrontato altri temi globali come il cambiamento climatico, coinvolgendo il settore economico privato che può dare un contributo fondamentale. Le tecnologie all'avanguardia, come quelle del settore spaziale, possono aiutarci a gestire i cambiamenti meteorologici estremi e a rendere le colture più resistenti, sicure e sostenibili. Lavoriamo su tutte queste urgenze anche con la presidenza emiratina della COP28. Terzo risultato. Abbiamo dedicato alcune sessioni ai paesi più vulnerabili. Penso in modo particolare alle piccole isole che sono tra gli stati più colpiti da fenomeni climatici estremi e fortemente dipendenti dall'importazione di prodotti alimentari dall'estero. Questo è un tema prioritario per il governo italiano, che ho avuto modo di sottolineare con Amina e con il Primo Ministro delle Samoe, oltre che a New York a febbraio scorso. Un tema caro all'Italia, che ha molte isole e vanta delle eccellenze in questo campo. Proprio per questo motivo, in questi giorni è stata istituita una nuova commissione parlamentare in Italia per il contrasto degli svantaggi derivanti dall'insularità. E ho voluto avere nella delegazione italiana il presidente eletto questa mane, l'onorevole Tommaso Calderone, che questa sera, ripeto, rappresenta tutte le piccole isole, ma anche le grandi isole dell'Italia. Più in generale, su tutte queste questioni, insieme alle Nazioni Unite, vogliamo essere parte della soluzione. Come ho detto ieri alla presentazione della Coalizione Mondiale dei Mercati Mondiali, siamo pronti a mettere a disposizione dei nostri partner il nostro saper fare applicato all'agricoltura, allo sviluppo e più in generale alla crescita. Vogliamo mettere a disposizione della comunità internazionale la nostra cultura agroalimentare, unica al mondo, che valorizza comunità e territori. Proprio il legame tra persone e territori è anche al centro del nostro progetto per ospitare Expo 2030 a Roma. Vogliamo promuovere un dialogo globale per trovare soluzioni condivise alle principali sfide globali, a partire da quella importantissima della sicurezza alimentare, protagonista di queste giornate. Il vertice di Roma è stata una tappa fondamentale nel percorso di collaborazione con le Nazioni Unite e con tutti i Paesi partecipanti, che ci vede impegnati nella lotta alla fame, all'insicurezza alimentare, al cambiamento climatico. Rafforzeremo i risultati politici di queste giornate di lavoro nei prossimi appuntamenti internazionali, con le Nazioni Unite a New York in settembre al Summit sugli obiettivi sostenibili, con la presidenza emiratina della COP28 e nel G7 di cui avremo la presidenza il prossimo anno. Contate sull'Italia, contate sul governo italiano che continuerà a sostenere con convinto impegno l'azione globale a favore della sicurezza alimentare. While thanking you all once again for your invaluable contribution, we look forward to be together in the future. See you soon again in Rome, in New York, but also in every country in the world. Thank you very, very, very much.
Grazie. Grazie Ministro Tajani, grazie a voi. Thanks to each and every one of you in the room and those following from far. There's a lot to be done, but at least the path is clear. Thank you very much.